Hello class 10th. Today we are going to start with chapter 6, Formation of the Muslim League. Today's topic is Factors leading to the foundation of the Muslim League. We will discuss the following points. So the objectives of today's topic is loss of sovereignty by the Muslims, economic backwardness of the Muslims, backwardness in the social and cultural fields, British policy of divide and rule, new interpretation to Indian history, rise of revolutionary nationalism, economic backwardness of the country, Hindi-Urdu controversy 1900, efforts of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, then the principal demands of Muslim leaders. Now let's discuss some key terms. Number 1, sovereignty. It means the authority of a state to govern itself or another state. Number 2, Morley Minto reforms. It was introduced the principle of communal representation in the legislature in 1909. Second phase of the Indian national movement continued. Chapter 6, Formation of the Muslim League. Factors leading to the foundation of the Muslim League. The English had seen how the Hindus and the Muslims had fought shoulder to shoulder during the Great Rising of 1857. After that, the Indian people also worked together in their mission to end the British rule, which was nothing but a danger signal for the British imperialism. Hence, the British encouraged the forces of communalism as the only way to wreck the national movement from within. They branded the national movement as a movement for establishing the Hindu Rashtra in India. For this purpose, they also encouraged the Muslim communalists to found their separate organization Muslim League, with the hope that it would keep the Muslims away from the Congress. There were several factors that led to the foundation of the Muslim League or the growth of communalism or the separatist trend of thinking among the Muslims. The Hindus and the Muslims had lived together in India for centuries. They had developed some common ways of life. Since both the communities were exploited by the British, they fought together during the First War of Independence in 1857. Such a unity between the two communities posed a danger to British imperialism. The uprising of 1857 made the British realize that they had to divide the two communities in order to prolong their rule in India. They therefore tried to sow the seeds of discord between them to check the rising tide of nationalism. They encouraged the communal forces to wreck the national movement from within. They dubbed the national movement as a movement for establishing the Hindu kingdom in India and encouraged the Muslims to set up their own separate political organization. It was the British policy of divide and rule that led to the rise of communal trend and to the formation of the Muslim League in 1906. Loss of sovereignty by the Muslims. The Muslims were the rulers of India before the English set foot on it. The British established their rule after dethroning, means removed from power, the Mughal kings in India. So the Muslims developed bitterness against the English. The Muslims became the special target of the English after the Great Rising of 1857. The doors of the government were shut upon them. They lost the confidence of the British rulers, who considered them as their most dangerous enemies. The British tried to win over the Hindus. About the British policy towards the Muslims, Lord Ellenborough said, "The Muslim race is fundamentally hostile, means aggressive to us, and therefore our true policy is to conciliate, means appease the Hindus." So the English began to crush the Muslims because they did not remain loyal to the British after they had snatched away their kingdoms. The following factors were responsible for the formation of the Muslim League. Number 1, loss of sovereignty by Muslims. The British established their supremacy in India after the removal of the Mughal rulers from power, who were the followers of Islam. Therefore, the Muslims became bitter enemies of the British. The Muslims became the special target of the English after the Great Rising of 1857. This made the British view them with doubt. The British government consciously discriminated against the Muslims, holding them responsible for the uprising of 1857. The British tried to win over the Hindus. Now they began to crush the Muslims because they did not remain honest to the British. About this policy towards Muslims, Lord Ellenborough said that the Muslims are unfriendly to us, so now our true policy is to appease the Hindus. Fact file: the number of Muslims employed in the Bengal government in 1841 was only 92. Hindus were 71 and the Europeans 1335. In 1841, the number of Muslims employed in the Bengal government was only 92, whereas Hindus were 71 and the Europeans were 1335. Economic backwardness of the Muslims. The English tried to crush the Muslims in social and economic spheres as well. They were not recruited to civil and military services. Government jobs were mostly reserved for the Hindus. The Muslims remained poor and unemployed. The economic policies of the British impoverished, means made poor, the Muslims. They found few opportunities in trade, industry, business, or professions. Landlords and zamindars, whether Hindus or Muslims, supported the British rule out of self-interest. The crippling, means damage, of arts and crafts in villages also led to poverty among the Muslims. As a result, the economic conditions of the Muslims deteriorated, means worsened. They held the British responsible for it and began to hate them. It gave birth to the feelings of revolt. Economic backwardness of the Muslims. The communal and separatist trend of thinking grew among the Muslims to some extent because of their relative backwardness in education and industry. As the British administration neglected the Muslims after 1857, the Muslims in turn rejected Western education, while the Hindus equipped themselves with the necessary qualification. They enabled them to secure jobs and opportunities in the British administration. Muslims were not recruited to civil and military services. The Muslims remained poor and unemployed. Landlords and zamindars, whether Hindus or Muslims, supported the British rule of their own interest. The damage of arts and crafts in the village also led to poverty among the Muslims. So the economic conditions of the Muslims became more worse. Now the Muslims began to hate the Britishers and it gave birth to the feeling of revolt. Backwardness in the social and cultural fields. The English introduced the system of Western education, literature and science through the medium of English language. Persian was replaced by English in courts. The Muslims did not adopt the Western system of education because they were proud of their own literature and culture. As a result, they remained backward in social and cultural affairs. On the other hand, the Hindus adopted the Western system of education and remained ahead in every sphere of life. Backwardness in the social and cultural fields. The Britishers introduced the system of Western education, literature and science in English medium. In courts also English took place instead of Persian. Some members of the Muslim community did not keep up with the modern trends in social and cultural spheres. This was because they were proud of their own literature and culture and did not adopt the Western system of education. Many Hindus, on the other hand, adopted the Western system of education. Since Modern education was essential for entry into government service. The Muslims had the disadvantage in this respect. In these circumstances, it was quite easy for the British officials to incite the Muslims against the Hindus. British policy of divide and rule. As discussed above, after the rising of 1857, the British treated the Muslims most severely and brutally. This resulted in the backwardness of the Muslims in political, economic, and social spheres. But the rising tide of the national movement forced the British to change their attitude and policy towards the Muslims, who were now too weak to revolt against the British. They followed the policy of divide and rule. One of the British politicians, Mountstuart Elphinstone, clearly said, "Divide et impera, divide and rule, was the old Roman motto and it should be ours." The British now became the champions of the Muslim minority. They began to encourage communalism to sow the seeds of disunity between the two communities. The English resorted to different methods to divide the Indian people. They presented the Muslim rulers as plunderers, means robber, and tyrannical bigots, means dictatorial followers, to create hatred for them among the Hindus. Similarly, they painted several Hindu rulers as cruel to their Muslim subjects. In 1905, they tried to justify the partition of Bengal by telling the Muslims that Bengal was being partitioned to create a new Muslim majority province where the Hindus would not be able to subvert, means dissolve their interest. The foundation of the Muslim League in 1906 was an attempt to drive a wedge, means crush, between the two communities. As a result, the Muslims began to support the partition of Bengal and called the Swadeshi movement a mere hoax. The Morley Minto reforms of 1909 introduced the principle of communal representation in the legislatures. British policy of divide and rule. As we have discussed above, after the First War of Independence in 1857, the British became anxious towards the safety and stability of the empire in India. They saw the unity between the Hindus and the Muslims as a threat to them. Thus, to check the growth of a united national feelings in India and to encourage communal and separatist tendencies in Indian politics, they decided to follow the policy of divide and rule. They did so in the following manner. Number one, in 1871, Lord Mayo's government adopted a resolution which made Urdu the medium of instruction for Muslims in primary and secondary schools and increased government aid to educational institutions run by the Muslims. They tried to create hatred among the Hindus and the Muslims by portraying Muslim rulers as robbers and the Hindu rulers as cruel kings to their Muslim subjects. They tried to justify the partition of Bengal by convincing the Muslims that Bengal was being partitioned to create a new Muslim majority province where the Hindus would not be able to dissolve their interests. They tried to utilize the caste structure to turn the non-Brahmins and the lower caste against high caste. They treated Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs as separate communities and accepted their communal leaders as authentic representatives of all their co-religionists. They tried to spread communal hatred through the press, posters, literature, and public platform. New interpretation means explanation to Indian history. Indian history was presented by the British historians in such a way as to arouse and foster, means promote communal feelings among the Indians. The British divided the Indian history into Hindu and the Muslim periods. In the Hindu period, they dubbed the Muslims as foreign invaders, means attacker, who settled here as conquerors. In the Muslim period, they identified the Muslims as rulers and the Hindus as a subjugated, means conquer people. by exposing and playing aloud the atrocities committed by individual rulers, the English historians tried to create hatred among the Hindus against the Muslims and the Muslims against the Hindus. All this created a rift, means break, between the two communities. The British and communal historians did not lay stress on the composite culture of India. New interpretation to Indian history. The manner in which Indian history was interpreted in those days contributed to the growth of communal thinking among the Hindus and the Muslims. Some British and communal historians divided Indian history into the Hindu and the Muslim periods. The rule of Turks, Afghans, and Mughals were called the Muslims' rule, where the rulers were said to be the followers of Islam and their subjects the followers of other religions. In the so-called Hindu period, Muslim rulers were called as foreign attackers who had settled in India. In the Muslim period, they identified the Muslims as rulers and the Hindus as a conqueror. The British and the communal historians ignored the idea of the composite culture in India and tried to create a division between the two communities. They failed to interpret that the diversity was primarily class-wise and region-wise and not religion-wise. Rise of revolutionary nationalism. There is no doubt that the revolutionary nationalists gave great impetus, means motivation, to the national movement, but some of their actions led to the growth of communalism. Tilak organized Shivaji and Ganpati festivals. Aurobindo Ghosh considered India as a mother and nationalism as religion. They laid great emphasis on the ancient Indian heritage and ignored the medieval Indian culture. They identified the Indian nation with the Hindus and the Indian culture with the Hindu religion. They ignored the Muslim role in Indian history. There was a certain tinge, means color, of religion in the political work and the ideas of the revolutionary nationalists. As a result, a large number of educated Muslims remained aloof or turned hostile to the national movement. Rise of revolutionary nationalism. The assertive nationalists played an important role in the national movement, but some of their actions marked a step back in respect of the growth of national unity. The speeches and actions of some of the assertive nationalists annoyed some sections of Indians. For example, the propagation of Shivaji and Ganpati festivals by Tilak, Aurobindo Ghosh concept of India as mother and nationalism as religion. They identified the Indian nation with the Hindus and the Indian culture with the Hindu religion. They ignored the Muslim role in Indian history. As a result, a large number of educated Muslims against the national movement. Economic backwardness of the country. The economic backwardness of the country was also responsible for encouraging communalism in India. India lacked modern industrial growth and there was acute unemployment among the youth. There was fierce, means strong, competition among them for securing jobs. It tempted the people to demand reservation in jobs on the basis of their sect, caste, creed, or religion. Such a thing also added to the British policy of divide and rule. Both the Hindus and the Muslim leaders failed to convince the common man, and the English themselves were to blame for their economic backwardness. They should have told them that unless the British rule in India was ended, their dream of prosperity would never come true. As a result, the communal forces grew stronger at the cost of the national movement. Economic backwardness of the country. The economic backwardness of the country contributed to the growth of communalism in India. Due to the British colonial policies, India lacked modern industrial development and there was acute unemployment among the educated youth. As a consequence, there was strong competition among the youth to secure the few available jobs. This led the people to demand reservation in jobs on the basis of caste, creed, or religion. The British used this opportunity to push further their policy of divided rule and fan communal rivalry among the educated Indians on the question of jobs in government services. However, the unemployed people failed to realize that the British themselves were responsible for their economic backwardness. As a result, the communal forces grew stronger at the cost of the national movement. Hindi-Urdu controversy 1900. In the United Provinces, now Uttar Pradesh, petitions to the offices and courts were submitted only in Urdu as it was the court language. The Hindus for long demanded a change in this procedure. Finally, on 8 April 1900, the government gave instructions that petitions, means appeal, written in Hindi in the Devanagari script would also be accepted. The Muslims resented this directive and called for protest meetings all over the province. The Hindus held counter meetings and the controversies continued for months as the rift between the two communities widened. Hindu-Urdu controversy 1900. The Hindu-Urdu controversy began with the demand of Hindus to replace Urdu by Hindi as official language in Devanagari script. Sir Anthony MacDonald, the then governor of UP, ousted Urdu from public offices. Congress clearly sided with Hindi and supported the movement against Urdu, and there was no other political party to support Urdu. Thus, need of formation of a Muslim political party was felt severely. Efforts of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. The Muslims remained aloof from the Western education, ideas and institutions. It led to their political, social and economic backwardness. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the first to advise the Muslims to receive Western education. In the beginning, he was a man of liberal views and a brave nationalist. He used to say, the Hindus and the Muslims are the two eyes of the beautiful bride, that is India. He founded the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental MAO College at Aligarh in 1875 to spread education among the Muslims. Its principal, Mr. Beck, brought about a great change in Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. He tried to instigate, means encourage, the communal sentiments among the Muslims. He advised the Muslims to remain away from the Hindus, the Congress and the national movement. He also advised them to support the British rule in India and receive Western education. He began to support communalism and Aligarh became the center of Muslim communalism. He also made Sir Syed Ahmad Khan think on communal lines. Efforts of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was a great educationist and social reformer. He regarded Hindus and Muslims to be one nation. The Muslims remained aloof from Western education, which led to economic, political and social backwardness. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the first to advise the Muslims to receive Western education. He founded the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College at Aligarh in 1875 to spread education among the Muslims. Under the influence of Principal Mr. Beck, he gave up his early views and declared that the political interests of Hindus and Muslims were different. When the Indian National Congress was founded, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan opposed it and also advised the Muslims to remain away from the Hindus. He also advised them to support the British rule in India and receive Western education. Mr. Beck made Sir Syed Ahmad Khan think on communal lines. The principal demands of Muslim leaders. Number 1. Separate electorates. They should be granted the right of sending their own representatives through separate communal electorates by which the Muslims would only have to vote for Muslim candidates and the Hindus would vote for the Hindu candidates. Separate representation in municipal and university bodies. Muslims should be adequately represented in municipal and university bodies. Weightage in representation. The representation given to the Muslim community should not be based on numerical strength but judged by the value of their contribution in defending the British Empire in India. More representation in judicial, military and civil services. There should be a greater number of Muslims in all government services, civil and military. There should also be Muslim judges in every high court. Founding of a Muslim university. The deputation also asked help in founding a Muslim university which would teach religious, cultural and intellectual concepts. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan tried to bring about a religious reapproachment between the Christ and the Crescent so long as it was hopeful to expect either that the Indian Muslims should become loyally attached to the British rule or that their Christian rulers on their part learn to regard them as loyal subjects and entitled as such to protection and patronage. Shah Deen. As Shah Deen said, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan declared that if the educated Muslims support the Britishers would reward them with government jobs and other special favors. Thank you.